Hi, thanks for joining. Let's talk about how to make your podcast intro not suck. Because we want you to have an intro that engages the audience and provides a memorable audio brand for your episodes. Because no one wants an intro that sucks. And the first thing to do is to stop doing what 95% of podcasters do. Most podcasters download a royalty-free music track, play it at a background volume level, and then they add a voiceover on top of it, introducing their show and themselves, the host, and maybe they go into an explanation of their topic.
Hi, I'm John Doe. Welcome to the John Doe Podcast, where we interview other John and Jane Does. Blah, 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 blah.
Not very engaging or memorable. We call this the royalty-free music method, and it has pretty much been the standard practice. That is, until now. One problem with using the royalty-free music method is that some providers have terms and conditions of use, and many people don't read the fine print. While they don't require royalty payments, they're usually not free. So you should always check the terms of use before any purchase. Some have term limitations like single use, which means it can only be used for a single event, like a video. The problem is you have multiple episodes and will need to use it more than once. Sometimes the terms will say the music cannot be edited. This is a problem if the music piece is 2 or 3 minutes long and you only need a 15 to 30 second intro. Another term you will sometimes see is that the music cannot be altered in any way. So placing a voiceover on top of it would not be allowed. So please, before you pay for a royalty-free music track, check the terms of use or licensing. The second issue with using royalty-free music for your intro is that it is not an audio brand. An audio brand should be memorable, something the audience will remember and recognize. It should be constant, always the first thing we hear in every episode. It should also be repeated. You'd want to also use it in your outros, transitions, social media posts, promos, website, and everywhere you can so that you can pound it into the brains of listeners. Now, the third issue with royalty-free music, and probably the biggest, is that others can get the same music you have. This means it is not specific to your brand. There are people who have used royalty-free music in past episodes for intros and found that someone else had the same music. The problem is all their past episodes are already out there on the host platforms and can't be changed now. So what if instead we had a professional branded intro that defined our podcast? Something like this.
Let's go! John Doe Podcast! Yeah!
The John Doe Podcast.
John Doe Podcast! Yeah!
For interviews and so much more.
First class! Badass! Yeah! John Doe Podcast! Cool!
Much more exciting and engaging and memorable and relates the vibe of the show. Now, let me show you the power of audio branding. Tell me what you think of when you hear this. Yes, that is the sound you hear on Netflix when the logo comes up. How about when you hear this? Of course, that is from the McDonald's jingle. So, you only heard a few notes of audio and immediately related that to a product. Wouldn't it be nice if your podcast had a reaction like that? That is the power of audio branding. Here's another way to look at audio branding. Remember the popular 90s show, Friends? When people heard this theme song, they would run to the couch so they wouldn't miss the show opening. Again, that's the kind of enthusiasm we would love for our podcasts. Now, Imagine if instead the producers of Friends used the royalty-free music method that most podcasters use. Bring in some royalty-free music, put it low in the background, and do a voiceover on top. It would sound something like this.
Hi, welcome to the TV show Friends, episode number 145, the one where Ross kisses Rachel. Blah, 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 blah.
Not quite the same impact, right? Not even close. And that, my friends, is what many podcasters are doing. So, here are some audio brand intro samples we have done here at Podcast Production Music. The first one was for a podcast that does straight interviews, and this was to introduce their guest.
Get ready. Get ready. Get ready. Let's do this.
It's showtime. Please pay attention.
Stop what you're doing and welcome our guest.
The next one was a short piece for a podcast called Elder Care Success.
We're doing it best with Elder Care Success.
This one was for a pilot for iHeartRadio called The Parody Show, which was a current news event podcast done with humor and parody.
Once in a great while, a show comes along that is so informative, creative, downright compelling. You just have to listen, no matter what. But until that happens, we hope you enjoy The Parody Show.
What is cool about this one is it actually parodies the show itself, which sets the vibe and engages the audience. The last example was done for a golf podcast intro.
It's a good day. It's a good day. Let's play through. Time to swing away. Yeah. It's a good day.
Now, these intros would engage me as a listener. And once I had heard them, I would remember them and relate them to their podcasts, which is the point of audio branding. Another reason to consider a professional branded intro is that the line between radio and podcasts is pretty much gone. Most live radio shows, including talk shows, morning shows, real estate shows, finance shows, and so on, are streamed as podcasts after their live show ends and are on the same platforms as your podcast. So you are competing with them for an audience. Radio understands the power of audio brands and production, and has been doing it for a long time. So, to compete and stay relevant, podcasters need to step up their game and take things to another level. And that's where we come in. At Podcast Production Music, we provide custom productions to help you make a great first impression and to have a brand that represents your podcast. If you have a video component, you can add visuals like your logo, your background, and so on. And now you have some real branding power. For those just starting out with a low budget, we also offer generic productions, which can get you started with something professional sounding. However, realize it is not specific to your podcast and is not really branding. So I would not consider it your final brand, but an alternative to the royalty-free music thing. We would be happy to talk with you about ideas and opportunities for your particular podcast and how we can create something special. You can find more information on our website at podcastproductionmusic.com and see the scheduler if you would like an appointment. Thank you for your time, as I know it is precious, and I hope we have encouraged you to think about stepping up your podcast game and taking it to the next level. Best wishes for much success with your podcast, and we hope to see you soon.